Welcome to Dumb on Both Sides, where I expose the senseless people and policies on both sides of the political aisle. Today's target on the right is none other than Donald Trump. There are many examples of Trump screwing up that we could choose from, but because it's current, we're going to talk about the Iran conflict. Now, it's possible that by the time you see this video, the Iran conflict might actually have been resolved. But regardless of when that actually occurs, I'm going to explain how Trump mismanaged this conflict from the beginning and in the process cost America the lives of its soldiers, billions of dollars, and its standing in the world. I will break this video down into 5 parts. Part 1. Take what's working and screw it up. There's an entire backstory between the USA and Iran that goes back to 1953, but we won't be able to cover all of that now. Instead, we will start in 2015. When the Obama administration and 5 other countries came to an agreement with Iran. This agreement was the JCPOA, which stands for Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Here's a very brief summary of this agreement. First, it limited Iran to 300 kilograms of uranium and limited its enrichment to 4%, high enough for nuclear power plants, but useless for weapons. Spent fuel was also to be shipped out of the country so it couldn't be used in breeder reactors. Second, Iran also agreed to inspectors that would verify the amount of uranium it had and its enrichment level. In return for all this, Iran got sanctions relief, allowing their economy to grow. They also received access to their bank fronts that had been frozen by the USA years earlier. But if found in violation of those terms above, sanctions would snap back, hurting Iran economically. This agreement worked, with the International Atomic Energy Agency regularly inspecting their facilities and stating that Iran was meeting these terms. But in 2018, Trump tore up this plan and replaced it with, well, nothing at all. Why did Trump possibly think this was a good idea? If there was something wrong with the original agreement, by all means, renegotiate it. But to replace it with nothing was boneheaded, because it essentially gave Iran permission to start enriching uranium. Now, let's jump to 2025, when Trump ordered the attack on Iran's nuclear sites. That attack, in his words, obliterated them. His director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and his CI director, John Ratcliffe, both agreed, saying that these sites were seriously damaged and would take years to repair. Part 2. Ignore advisors. If Trump actually maintained the JCPOA, the 2025 attack might not have been necessary. But given that Iran enrichment did proceed after he tore up the agreement, the 2025 attack was reasonable and proportional to stop Iran from next building a nuclear weapon. Another positive aspect to this limited attack was that military advisors had warned against an all-out war with Iran for multiple reasons. First, sustained aerial-only bombardments don't historically cause regime change. It almost always requires boots on the ground, but putting American soldiers in Iran would be politically unpopular right now. But even if that political resistance could have been overcome, Iran is 5 times the size of Vietnam and considerably more mountainous, making a successful ground invasion like the one in Desert Storm, but against Iran, extremely difficult. And that's before we even get to the Strait of Hormuz. For thousands of years, military leaders have understood the importance of geography when fighting battles. And here, Iran reigns supreme. Iran surrounds the Strait of Hormuz on 3 sides, making any ship an easy target if Iran wanted to attack it. And the strait gives Iran control of 20% of the world's oil and natural gas market. It sounds like a bad pun, but the strait is literally Iran's trump card. And while Iran has never closed the strait before for any extended length of time, it has long threatened to do so if faced with an existential threat. It's become even easier over the last decade for Iran to control the strait through drone technology. Sea drones can bring down a ship with no danger to Iranian lives. Aerial drones cost only about $30,000 apiece and have a range of over 900 miles, allowing them to be launched from almost anywhere in Iran. It only takes a few to stop a Saboon, container ship, or oil tanker. A large number can even overwhelm a U.S. Navy ship's defenses. Part 3. Hope is not a strategy. Despite all these warnings, somehow Israel's Bibi Netanyahu convinced Trump in February that Iran was just weeks away from a nuclear weapon, and to start a joint war against Iran. It's pretty clear that Trump was hoping for a quick victory. Perhaps he believed that their regime would back down after their leaders were assassinated and faced relentless bombing. Or perhaps the Iranian people would rise again as they had in January before that protest was violently put down. Or perhaps the Kurds would rise up, giving the USA the boots on the ground needed for regime change. Any one of these could have helped Trump with the quick victory he sought. He hoped to then dictate that Iran would 1. Have a U.S.-friendly government afterwards, 2. Give up its nuclear material, and 3. Stop funding terror groups like Hamas and Hezbollah that threaten Israel. Part 4. Stalemate. Let's give Trump a partial victory. Let's agree that Trump achieved the goal that Iran is no longer able to fund terror groups because we have shut down their oil revenues by blockading them. But for the other two goals, the situation is actually worse than before. We have not achieved regime change despite Israel killing many levels of their leadership, because unfortunately, the replacements are even more hardline than those originally in charge. They're also younger, by the way. We're also no closer to getting their uranium, and if anything, we've made Iran more determined than ever to create the bomb. And Iran has shown it can repeatedly close the strait whenever it wants, thereby holding the world hostage with nothing more than cheap boats, cheap drones, and the threat of mines which may not even exist. And for a while, they were even able to charge a $2 million toll for each ship that it allowed through. The worldwide economic cost of this war has been massive. The USA is spending about $1 billion a day, but it is unable to open the strait because those same drones can overwhelm U.S. Navy ships, so the Navy is implementing its blockade of Iranian ships hundreds of miles away, near the raging sea. Trump has repeatedly threatened to destroy Iran's power plants and bridges if Iran doesn't agree to America's terms. But these actions can be classified as war crimes, so perhaps that's why Trump has not taken them and has instead extended deadlines multiple times, leading to criticism of Taco, or Trump always chickens out. With no oil flowing through the strait, the economies of the Gulf countries are being devastated, and the world is paying much higher prices for oil and natural gas. Trump might be responsible for one of the biggest value destructions in world history, but then again, what can you expect for someone who bankrupted a casino? Part 5. Negotiating an eventual peace. Eventually, this war will end. The country that will, quote, win this war is the one that can withstand pain longer and therefore dictate the final terms. We don't know yet which country that will be, whether Iran gives up first due to economic devastation, or if the unpopularity of this war means that Trump is eventually forced to leave without the victory he seeks. But even if Iran gives up, the U.S. has lost credibility in the world due to the economic damage it has caused, as humiliation about not being able to get oil to flow for so long, and diplomatic damage from insulting our allies. There are no winners here. That's the reason I create these videos, to highlight how the extreme positions damage the USA, whether coming from the left or the right. I'm hoping to create a groundswell of support for more moderate politicians that make decisions based upon evidence, reason, and expert advice. If you agree with me, consider hitting the like button and subscribing. I also welcome comments on this video or topics for new videos. And thanks very much for watching.